The moment that just went viral across every platform didn't happen on the field, in a press conference, or during some scripted celebration. It happened in a raw, unscripted exchange that exposed everything simmering beneath the surface of the Cleveland Browns organization. Andrew Berry, the GM who took non-stop heat for drafting Shedeur Sanders in the 5th round, walked straight to his quarterback after the historic debut victory. And the emotion on his face told the entire story. This wasn't a simple good job. It was relief, validation, and the unmistakable look of a man who finally had proof he wasn't crazy for believing in this kid. And Shedeur's response? Calm, focused, humble. The kind of answer you'd expect from a franchise quarterback, not a rookie with 1 week of practice. That 10-second moment did more than go viral. It cracked open the real story of what's happening. Been happening inside the Browns organization and what's coming next. The clip that exploded across social media wasn't some highlight reel throw or locker room speech. It was a quiet, spontaneous exchange between Andrew Berry and Shedeur Sanders. And it instantly told fans more about the Browns' internal dynamics than any press conference ever has. Just minutes after Shedeur snapped a 30-year curse and became the first Browns rookie quarterback in decades to win his debut, Berry walked straight toward him, with a smile that looked half relief, half disbelief. This wasn't the stoic, calculated GM fans are used to seeing. This was a man who had been waiting months to finally say, "I told you so," without actually saying it. Berry's voice cracked with genuine happiness as he asked, "How does it feel, bro?" It wasn't corporate. It wasn't formal. It sounded like two people who had been through something together. And Shedeur's response, calm, humble, focused on improvement, sealed the moment. No bragging, no chest thumping. Just quiet confidence. That authenticity is exactly why the clip went viral. Fans are used to seeing polished statements and filtered interactions, but this felt real. It felt like the GM and the quarterback were finally aligned, and maybe had been all along. But the reason this moment hit so hard wasn't just the emotion. It was what it revealed. Berry believed in Shedeur, publicly, privately, and against the wishes of many inside the organization. And now, after one historic win, the world finally saw what Berry had seen from the start. But that wasn't the only revelation this game delivered. Before that viral moment ever happened, Andrew Berry spent months carrying the weight of a decision that nearly everyone around him questioned. Drafting Shedeur Sanders in the 5th round wasn't just unexpected. It was treated like a mistake the second it happened. Analysts mocked the pick on live television. Some reports suggested certain voices inside the building preferred a more traditional quarterback prospect. Even portions of the fan base wondered why Berry would gamble on a player they believed was more hype than substance. And Berry heard all of it. He knew selecting Shedeur wasn't going to win him any immediate praise. He knew he wasn't getting a highlight-filled college resume or a prototypical pocket passer. What he saw instead was something harder to quantify. Poise, preparation, and a mindset built for moments bigger than draft night expectations. But belief alone doesn't calm the noise. And Berry spent the offseason defending a move he couldn't yet prove was right. That's why his reaction after the debut meant so much. This wasn't just relief from a GM whose player played well. This was validation for a man who pushed back against public criticism, internal hesitation, and organizational politics to stand by his evaluation. And in that one game, Shedeur gave Berry the evidence he'd been waiting for. The pick no one understood suddenly looked like the smartest move Cleveland had made in years. But what happened next, on the field and behind the scenes, made the story even louder. What Shedeur Sanders did on that field wasn't just impressive. It rewrote a piece of Cleveland Browns history that had been haunting the franchise for nearly 3 decades. Before this game, every Browns rookie quarterback who made his debut walked off the field with the same result: a loss. 17 straight times, 17 reminders that Cleveland could never find stability at the position that defines NFL success. That streak became a running joke across the league, a symbol of the franchise's perpetual misfortune. And then Shedeur stepped in. With barely a week of preparation, no preseason rhythm with the starters, and the pressure of a 30-year drought staring him directly in the face, he delivered the one thing no Browns rookie had managed since the mid-90s, a win. And it wasn't some accidental victory carried by luck or a few broken plays. He played with command. He made throws that shifted momentum. He looked like he belonged on a stage that has swallowed rookies whole for decades. The numbers alone don't tell the story. The poise in the pocket, the confidence in his reads, the way he elevated everyone around him, that's what made the performance historic. It wasn't simply ending a streak, it was ending a mindset. The Browns didn't look cursed that night. They looked capable. For the first time in years, fans weren't asking, when will we find a quarterback? They were asking something far more exciting. Did we just find him? And that's when the controversy hit. After a night where Shedeur Sanders broke a 30-year curse, delivered over 200 yards, and carried himself like a seasoned franchise quarterback, you'd expect one thing to be automatic: the game ball landing in his hands. But when the post-game ceremony wrapped and the ball went to Garrett instead, the fan base erupted. Not because Garrett didn't deserve praise. He was dominant, racking up 3 sacks and anchoring a defense that smothered the Raiders. The issue wasn't Garrett's excellence, it was the symbolism. This was Shedeur's night. This was the moment Cleveland had waited decades to experience. And somehow, the quarterback who made history wasn't the one being honored. To fans, it felt like a missed opportunity. Or worse, a message. The game ball isn't just a souvenir. It's the organization's way of saying, you were the heartbeat of this win. And for the rookie who snapped a losing streak older than many players on the roster, not receiving it felt off. Analysts immediately questioned whether this was an innocent oversight or a reflection of deeper hesitation from the coaching staff about embracing Shedeur as the new face of the franchise. Social media didn't hesitate. Posts flooded in, claiming Cleveland disrespected their own breakout star. Debates broke out over whether the decision hinted at politics inside the locker room. And just when the conversation was starting to calm down, Shedeur made a comment that poured gasoline on the entire situation. When Garrett stepped up to the podium after the game, his comments were classy, controlled, and exactly what you'd expect from a veteran who understands his role in the locker room. He praised the defense for their relentless pressure. He celebrated his teammates for joining him in a 10-sack demolition of the Raiders. And he acknowledged the emotional weight of having Andrew watching over me today, paying tribute to a fallen teammate in a moment that meant a lot to him personally. But here's where things took a turn. While Garrett spoke with pride about the defense, his tone made one thing clear. This kind of performance is normal for him. Dominance is his expectation, not a surprise. And that's exactly why fans felt the game ball decision missed the bigger picture. For Garrett, a 3-sack night is another chapter in a Hall of Fame resume. For Shedeur, this was a once-in-a-generation moment. A historic breakthrough that changed the trajectory of an entire franchise. Garrett's comments unintentionally highlighted the contrast. He expected greatness from himself, while Shedeur delivered something Cleveland hadn't seen in 30 years. The result? Fans immediately connected the dots online. If the veteran superstar can acknowledge the significance of the moment, why couldn't the coaching staff? Why honor a routine form of dominance over a historic milestone? And that question only grew louder when Shedeur finally addressed the night and revealed something nobody expected. The moment Shedeur Sanders stepped in front of reporters, he didn't brag about breaking a 30-year curse. He didn't parade around his 200-plus yards. Instead, he dropped one quiet sentence that sent shockwaves through every corner of Browns fandom. This win is crazy, off 1 week of practice. Those 8 words did more damage to the Browns' internal narrative than any viral clip could. Because hidden inside that humble line was a truth fans had suspected for months. Shedeur wasn't given a real chance to compete. Not in training camp, not in preseason, not even in the weeks leading up to this game. Reports had already suggested he barely saw first-team reps. Rumors claimed the staff was committed to the previous starter regardless of performance. And Shedeur, without pointing fingers or calling anyone out, confirmed it in the most professional way possible. He basically said, "Imagine what I could do if you actually prepared me." That hit hard, because if he can deliver a historic win, make franchise-changing throws, and look completely in control with only 1 week of work, then what does that say about the decisions made before this moment? How many wins slipped away because the coaching staff wasn't ready to hand him the keys earlier? How much potential was left sitting on the bench? Fans instantly understood the deeper meaning. This wasn't a rookie celebrating. This was a quarterback exposing the organization's hesitation without ever raising his voice, and now the pressure on the coaching staff was about to explode. The moment Shedeur revealed he'd only practiced with the starters for a single week, the spotlight shifted instantly to one man, Kevin Stefansky. And the reaction from fans wasn't mild, it was explosive. Overnight, the conversation across Browns Twitter, Reddit, and sports shows turned from celebrating a historic win to questioning the head coach's judgment. Because if Shedeur could look that poised, that confident, and that capable with almost no preparation, then why wasn't he given an earlier opportunity? Why wasn't he part of the first-team rotation in camp? Why wasn't the offense built around him sooner? Fans began connecting the dots, and the picture wasn't flattering for Stefansky. Rumors had already floated around that he favored the previous starter. Reports claimed the coaching staff wanted stability over potential. And now, with one rookie performance, that entire philosophy looked outdated. Analysts openly questioned whether Stefansky was too stubborn, too cautious, or too committed to his original QB plan to recognize the spark sitting right behind it. Even worse, fans started pointing out the game ball decision as evidence of something deeper, a reluctance to fully embrace Shedeur. Whether intentional or not, it added fuel to the fire. Meanwhile, Andrew Berry's stock soared. The GM looked like a visionary, while Stefansky suddenly looked like he'd been standing in the way of the team's progress. And with the fan base fully behind Shedeur, one thing became clear. If Stefansky tries to revert to the old quarterback plan now, the backlash will be unlike anything Cleveland has seen in years. And inside the building, that power shift was only getting louder. While Kevin Stefansky found himself facing a wave of criticism, Andrew Berry experienced the exact opposite. In a single night, the power dynamics inside the Browns organization shifted, and shifted hard. Berry went from being the GM questioned, doubted, and second-guessed to the man who just may have saved the franchise from its own bad habits. For months, Berry stood behind a decision almost no one understood. Drafting Shedeur Sanders in the 5th round wasn't just unconventional, it was mocked. Analysts claimed the pick was emotional because of the Sanders name. Others argued Shedeur didn't fit Cleveland's system. Some insisted the Browns were wasting a roster spot. Through all of it, Berry stayed quiet but confident, trusting what he saw in Shedeur's preparation, composure, and competitive edge. Now look at him. The rookie he fought for just snapped a 30-year curse, electrified the fan base, and proved he belonged on an NFL field. Suddenly, Berry wasn't the GM people questioned. He was the executive who saw value before everyone else. And the viral clip of him congratulating Shedeur wasn't just emotional, it symbolized a shift in organizational influence. Because when your quarterback shines and your GM believed in him from day one, the message becomes obvious. Stefansky may run the playbook, but Berry now controls the narrative. And with the city rallying behind Shedeur, Berry's voice carries more weight than ever, setting the stage for even bigger decisions ahead. Inside the Browns locker room, the reaction to Shedeur Sanders' debut wasn't quiet, subtle, or divided. It was immediate and overwhelmingly supportive. Players aren't fooled by hype, narratives, or front office politics. They know exactly who gives them the best chance to win. And after watching Shedeur deliver in a pressure-filled moment, many veterans made their feelings clear. Reports suggest multiple players approached him after the game, not with rookie-level congratulations, but with genuine respect, the kind you give a leader. Some teammates told him outright, "You're the guy." Others simply nodded, smiled, or slapped his shoulder pads in a way that said more than words ever could. For a rookie quarterback, that kind of reception isn't normal. It means the locker room saw something real. What hit hardest was how the energy shifted. Offensive players looked energized, almost relieved, like they finally had someone who could command the field with confidence. Defensive players, especially after delivering a 10-sack performance, seemed fired up, knowing their effort had a quarterback who could capitalize on it. But there's another side to this. Players also notice who the coaching staff supports and who they hesitate to elevate. And when Shedeur didn't get the game ball, some eyebrows reportedly raised, not in anger, but in confusion. Because everyone in that room knew exactly who made history. And that sets up a delicate situation. If Stefansky tries to reverse course and go back to the old quarterback plan, he won't just be fighting the fan base. He'll be fighting the belief of his own locker room. A battle NFL coaches rarely win. And the emotional moment that followed only strengthened that feeling. After the chaos of the win, after the cameras, the interviews, and the noise, the most emotional moment of the night didn't happen on the field. It happened in the tunnel. Deion "Primetime" Sanders stood there waiting, not as a Hall of Famer, not as a cultural icon, but as a father. And when Shedeur walked toward him, fresh off making Cleveland history, everything else seemed to disappear. The two locked eyes, hugged, and shared a moment that instantly became one of the most powerful images of the night. It wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. It was raw, quiet pride. The kind that hits harder than any speech or celebration ever could. Security even had to clear space around them because everyone in the area knew this wasn't a moment to interrupt. Players, staff, and even reporters stepped back out of respect. Prime didn't need to say much. The look on his face said everything. You handled the pressure. You proved yourself. You belong here. And Shedeur's expression matched it. Not overwhelmed, not boastful, but steady. Like someone who expected to be here all along. This moment mattered far beyond family emotion. It strengthened a belief that was already surging through the fan base. Shedeur isn't writing his father's name. He's building his own legacy. And seeing father and son share that quiet celebration only amplified the feeling that something bigger is beginning in Cleveland. But the most telling quote of the night came right after, and it exposed the truth the entire organization now has to confront. For nearly 3 decades, the Browns' quarterback position has felt less like a job and more like a curse. Every time a new rookie stepped onto the field, fans hoped maybe this one would be different, only to watch the same heartbreaking story play out again and again. 17 rookie quarterbacks made their debut. 17 walked away with a loss. The streak became a symbol of Cleveland's frustration, a reminder that no matter how many changes the team made, the result never seemed to change. Until now, when Shedeur Sanders took the field, he wasn't just battling the Raiders. He was battling history. Decades of disappointment, endless memes, and a narrative that said Cleveland simply couldn't get the quarterback position right. And in one night, he broke all of it. Poise, the command, the throws under pressure. He didn't play like someone trying to escape a curse. He played like someone who never believed in it in the first place. That's why this win felt different. It wasn't a fluke or a lucky bounce. It was a rookie stepping into the biggest shadow in franchise history and refusing to be defined by it. For the first time in years, Browns fans weren't clinging to hope. They were witnessing real change. This wasn't just the end of a streak. It was a signal that the curse finally met a challenger who wasn't afraid of it. And the fan base made that clear in the loudest way possible. The moment the final whistle blew, it wasn't just the stadium that erupted. The entire internet did too. Within minutes, clips of Shedeur's throws, his poise, his interview, and that emotional exchange with Andrew Berry were everywhere. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Every platform lit up with fans declaring what they believed the franchise should have known from the start. Shedeur Sanders is QB1. The reaction wasn't casual excitement. It was a wave, a movement. Hashtags like #StartShedeur, #Barry was right, and #Cleveland found their QB surged across timelines. Browns fans who had spent years arguing about the quarterback position suddenly weren't divided. They were unified, loud, and relentless. Even neutral NFL fans jumped in, calling his debut the best Cleveland quarterback moment in decades. And then came the debates. Why didn't he get the game ball? Why wasn't he given first-team reps earlier? Why wasn't Stefansky seeing what the entire world just witnessed? Sports debate shows picked up the story instantly. Former players praised the rookie's confidence. Analysts questioned the coaching staff's decisions. Commentators highlighted the locker room's reaction and the viral moment with Berry. Everywhere you looked, the conversation pointed to one conclusion. Cleveland doesn't just want Shedeur. They're demanding him. And for a franchise that has lived through heartbreak at quarterback for generations, that level of unified belief is rare and powerful. But now all the noise, all the pressure, and all the expectation falls onto one decision the organization can no longer avoid. Everything that happened, the viral moment with Andrew Berry, the historic debut, the game ball controversy, the fan reaction, the locker room shift, all leads to one unavoidable crossroads for the Cleveland Browns. For the first time in decades, the franchise isn't searching for hope, it's holding it. And now the entire future of the team hinges on whether Cleveland is bold enough to embrace what's right in front of them. Shedeur Sanders didn't just win a game, he changed the energy of an entire organization. He broke a streak that felt like a curse. He united a fan base that's been divided for years. And he showed the kind of confidence and composure that teams spend decades trying to find. The question now is simple. Do the Browns commit to him, or do they let hesitation ruin another opportunity? If the coaching staff tries to revert to the old depth chart, they won't just be ignoring momentum. They'll be pushing against the fans, the locker room, and the clear direction this franchise is being pulled toward. And in a league built on timing and courage, hesitation can be the difference between a resurgence and another era of mediocrity. Andrew Berry already made his decision when he drafted Shedeur. Shedeur made his decision the moment he took the field. Now it's Cleveland's turn. Because if this debut proved anything, it's that the Browns finally have a quarterback worth building around. The only question left is whether the organization is brave enough to let the future begin right now.